Georgia governor's race to a case involving a Georgia judge. Todd Starnes has a lot to say about it. He joins us now. Todd, good evening to you. I know you've had these candidates on your radio show, and they have agreed that they're going to bind together, the GOP, and do what they have to win this race.
Well, that's right, Shannon. As a matter of fact, today on my radio program, I made both of them pinky swear they would endorse the other candidate should they lose. And, of course, we saw Casey Cagle do that. Look, this is going to be a very big deal in the state of Georgia as the Republicans take on this Democrat, Stacey Abrams, someone who is a progressive Democrat. People ask me, what's the difference between Abrams and Brian Kemp? Well, he's a gun-toting, Bible-clinging deplorable, and she's not, Shannon.
No, she's not, and she's made no secret of that. So this will be a very interesting race, potentially history in the making. But I want to talk to you about this other case in Georgia we've been following, where there was a young man, I believe he was about 14 years old, when he was arrested on armed robbery charges. He got a pretty hefty sentence. It was then sliced down a little bit. He served about 2.5 years, I understand, in a juvenile correction facility. The judge there said this. She said, "I think he has been in prison now for 2.5 years, and I don't think it helped him much." Go out into a program that was described as something that would very tightly control, almost a military school type environment, to give him a fresh start and skills to move on in life. Now he's been arrested for shooting, accused of felony murder, of killing a man who was waiting for an Uber to pick him up. But she knew he had trouble.
Oh, she absolutely knew he was a troubled person, and yet completely ignored the passionate pleas of the district attorney and the prosecutors. This kid, 14 years old, he had been serving 28 months in juvie, had racked up something like 25 or 30 violations, I mean violent violations, and instead of being sentenced and serving out that 7-year sentence, Shannon, instead he was let go and he was allowed to enroll in a rehab center. But here's the news nugget, Shannon. There's no indication this rehab center actually exists. This guy was involved in gangs, and yet the judge did nothing. The judge let him out, who happens to be a chef in the Washington, D.C. area, also happens to be a new father, a 9-month-old baby. Yeah. Now this man is dead.
Yeah, it's a devastating case. And Instagram and other social media that he's posing with guns and drugs and all kinds of other things. It wasn't enough to get him back behind bars. So we'll follow that case as it plays out. Meanwhile, you're also tracking this case of someone we all know well, if you follow these cases, Mikey Weinstein, who is after the military when it comes to religious things. He said, you know, the basis you see this, where it's set for the person who is no longer missing because they are missing in action. They've been killed in action. They're not part of the family there anymore. And there's a Bible on the table at a number of these places at different bases around the country. He said no. He went to the military and said the Bible's got to go. It offends people, and he's succeeding.
Well, he is, and the most recent incident happened at Warren Air Force Base in Wyoming. And folks need to understand this tradition was birthed out of the Vietnam War, and that Bible stands for something. It stands for a reminder that we are one nation under God. And so Mikey Weinstein with the Military Religious Freedom Foundation complained, and the base commander there actually decided to remove the Bible. And Shannon, what has really caused national outrage, and we've been talking about this on my radio show, is that the military commander replaced the Bible with a generic book of faith. And no one knows what exactly that is. But here's the problem with Mikey Weinstein. This is a guy who has a long history line to the Pentagon. Well, quite frankly, what President Trump needs to do is disconnect that number.
Well, Mr. Weinstein has said that if the president gets involved in this at all, he'll be in court before he knows what to do about it. He also says that of the people he's representing, 21 of them are Protestants and Catholics. So he objects to the idea that he is anti-Christian or going after Christians in any way.
Well, that's a bunch of grade A fertilizer, Shannon. Look, I am a good church-going Baptist. I don't know any Christians who are offended by the Holy Bible. I'd like to meet one of those folks.
Well, the base commander there says it's all in an effort to make sure that no one's offended and everybody feels included. And the Book of Faith is the one that will be used now in rotation. He says he's done it on 8 bases and he's not done yet. So, Todd, we know you're going to track him. Let us know.
That's right.
Good to see you.